seems to fit, as long as I wiggle it a little. Ah!
You didn't see that. Hey, what's up, soldiers? My name's GregFPS, the Zombies Extraordinaire. Only recently has the zombies storyline kind of come to life, and we've seen the like everything that goes on within it, especially after the timeline. But before that, the real driving force of Call of Duty Zombies was brought out by myths. And not only was there storyline myths, but there's also other myths that have to do with a bunch of other things that happen in zombies, whether it's gameplay mechanics, things you can do, things people thought were real but actually weren't. And to be honest, I really wanted to just make this video to kind of shed some light on things that people thought were actually real, but they turned out to just be completely false, and they weren't actually in zombies. So we're going to be going through a bunch of different zombies myths spanning all the way from World at War till now, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy this video. Now, normally every single week at the beginning of the week I do like a top 10. So next week I'm going to do the top 5 or 10 worst wonder weapons in Treyarch Zombies history. So make sure you guys vote. It's going to be the top link in the description. It's going to bring you to a straw poll, and you guys can vote for which wonder weapon you think is the absolute worst. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive into some Treyarch Zombies myths that maybe, hopefully, a few of them you haven't even heard about. Alright guys, so the first one that comes to mind for me is definitely the Hitler boss fight on round 50 on Derice. Now, if you guys go and play Derice, you know, like that big wall with the group 935 logo on it. It's right next to power, right near the first box location on original World at War Derice. And people thought that that door would actually open on round 50 and Hitler would come out of there. Now, back in the day, getting to round 50 in World at War Zombies was an insane feat. Like, most people were dying by round 15 or so. Some people, if they camped on the catwalk, could get to like 20, 25, but even then that was like considered insane round. So no one was really getting to round 50, and it turns out once people started getting there, they realized there was nothing, and it was just a myth the entire time. Alright guys, the next one is the ladder on Kino. Now, as you guys know, Kino is like the most played zombies map of all time, and that ladder that is on the stage, there was a ton of theories about this ladder. Like, people thought it would bring you up to a wonder weapon. People also heard that if you placed all the reels in the projector room, you could climb up the ladder and get to like the pack-a-punch room. There was just a bunch of different theories that revolved around this one ladder. Getting to round 100, the ladder would drop down and you could escape the theater. So there was a ton of mysteries and just myths about this ladder that were completely false, and people actually thought that you could do it, and you could troll people. Back in the day in public matches, people would always talk about this ladder and how their cousin got up the ladder and got a wonder weapon. Like, this was one of those things that so many people talked about, and it just was not true at all. All right guys, next up is the transit bus route B. As you guys know, this area is completely blocked off. It's right before the diner. People thought there was some sort of Easter egg that would actually unlock a new way to get somewhere, and it would bring you to a secret location, and it never ended up happening, which is kind of unfortunate. I feel like if they had more development time for Black Ops 2 and transit specifically, they definitely could have added a whole new area to go, but unfortunately they had to add so much fog. And another thing that also goes along with transit is there was actually a myth of a transit force. James C. Burns was the voice of Sergeant Frank Woods, and he actually ended up making a video kind of going through the Black Ops 2 transit reveal zombies trailer, and he actually ended up saying that there was a horse in zombies, and there was like a small freeze frame that looked exactly like a horse. I'll try to find it and put it on screen for you guys, but everyone thought there was a horse, and this was even after like people did the Tower of Babel Easter egg. They thought there was like a side Easter egg for an actual horse that you could ride on transit, because in the Black Ops 2 campaign you end up using a horse, so it was definitely possible, but obviously it never ended up being true. But I just thought it was kind of one of those things where like people thought this was real. I believed it for a long time, and a lot of other people did as well. And then when nothing was found and there was no proof ever, it just went away. Another hilarious myth that people thought were real when it actually happened was that you could get PhD Flopper on not only Mob of the Dead, but also on Die Rise. And as you guys know, on Die Rise, it's a huge troll. You go down that first elevator in the spawn room and you can see it for a glimpse, and it goes very, very quickly, so you can only barely see it. Now, it has since obviously been proven that you couldn't even buy it. I believe Pizza mentioned that in one of his myth busting videos. So it was kind of cool to see that people actually like were looking for ways, like an elevator, to take you up there to get PhD Flopper, and it never was real. People thought that you might be able to throw the upgraded tomahawk at the PhD machine that's out at the docks on Mob of the Dead as well, and obviously that was fake as well. So there was a lot of myths just surrounding these perks specifically, because people really loved them from Black Ops 1 and were hoping they were going to be in Black Ops 2. Another myth that never came true and a lot of people believed was that if you ended up moving when you were down, you would actually end up bleeding out faster. Now, there are tons of people busting this myth on YouTube, but back in the day when Black Ops 2 was out, I remember playing on town and people would always say that when you move, you would just die and you would bleed out so much faster, but it's just not true. Everyone believed this in other games too, even Black Ops 1 on like Kino and stuff, but you bleed out the exact same rate as you do if you're just standing still. So a lot of people just stood still and figured they would be able to last a little bit longer than the people moving, but it just was not the case at all. There have been a ton of different myths surrounding the mystery box and what you can do to possibly get the ray gun or get monkeys, and one of these myths was shooting the actual buckle of the box. People thought that if you shot it with the M1911, you had a better chance at luck. Some other people thought that if you shot the question mark on the box, you would get better luck. Some people thought if you spun around and crouched 3 times, you would end up getting better luck. So none of these are actually true. It's completely random, and that's why it's called the mystery, because you never know what you're going to get. And sometimes it is not a very good probability that you're going to get a weapon. There are some weapons that are so hard to get. Like, for example, I believe the Ray Gun Mark III is a 3 out of 100 chance on Die Rise and Mob of the Dead. Like, it's one of the most rare weapons. Even on transit as well, it's definitely a little bit more rare, but on transit you can actually get the teddy bear just like on Berry. That's why it's not as rare on those maps. But still, it's kind of crazy to think about that some of these things are just so, like, people think are real, but they're just completely made up and BS. Like, no one actually knows for sure. Another one that I hear all the time, and I've been hearing this since Origins came out, that building the shield on Black Ops 2 Origins as Richthofen makes it more durable and it lasts longer. Now, this is one that I personally remember people saying all the time, because I used to play public matches a lot. I still do from time to time, to just like have a good time and not really have to worry about doing an Easter egg or anything. But people always stood by this. This was one of those things like, okay, you're Richthofen, you're building the shield. That is your one job, to make sure you go and build the shield. Are any of these myths that I'm talking about in this video things that you guys have heard, that you remember your friends talking about and things like that? Because this is like a crazy trip through memory lane for me. Like, all of these things, I remember people talking about them, so it's definitely really, really funny. Another funny like Easter egg that people thought were real was actually Space Dog on Black Ops 1 Moon. Now, obviously, we ended up getting Space Dog in Black Ops 3 as part of Zombies Chronicles. I was literally right next to MC Sports Talk when he asked Blundell about it, and Blundell said he would do something about it. So definitely a very, very cool thing that people thought were real, and it wasn't actually real. And then since there was so many myths behind it, they ended up actually adding that. And that's one of those cool scenarios where Treyarch listens to the community and they add something in because of the community opinion or things that the community actually thought to back that up. So I thought that was definitely a very, very cool myth back in the day that Treyarch actually ended up implementing, which is really cool. All right, guys, the last and final myth that we're going to be talking about is that Shangri-La is on Mars. Now, if you guys remember, this was a huge argument that happened between Reed and back then Nixaru, and they talked about this all the time. Treyarch also added to this meme and added a little bit more to back this up when on Tag Der Toen there's a secret Easter egg and you get flung on the flinger all the way out into the ocean, and you can go through like a underground cavern, I guess, that's filled with water, and once you swim all the way through and get up, there's a big red planet there, and a lot of people believe that is Mars, and they actually played the loading screen music from Shangri-La once you get there. So it's just really, really cool that Treyarch even implemented this to add insult to injury, I guess, for the community as just kind of a little joke and slash meme. Like, Treyarch is always so aware of these things, and it's hilarious. It even reminds me of the last gen Richtofen Easter egg. Like, there's so many things that are just absolutely hilarious. So anyways, guys, that is going to be the entire video of some myths that people thought were real but actually were just completely BS and completely false. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please do me a favor and drop a like, and also consider subscribing for more great zombies videos. I work really hard on these. I had to do some research and stuff about some of these as well. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.